Morning, Tim.
Good morning, Jan.
It's going to be a nice day.
It will be a nice day today. I'm trapped in Zoom world all day today, though. I just finished chairing the Ontario Caucus meeting at FCM, so it's a bit of a crazy one for me today.
Well, I just sent you a Zoom kind of a question, so have a look at it sometime this week and we'll talk.
Sounds good. This is the only thing I had that was red today, so it looks like I'm going out for a run or something, but it is what it is.
I didn't have anything red.
I know, it took a lot of digging.
Well, I've purposely been, picking up pink things because, of course, we celebrate with that color quite a bit. So maybe I have a scarf. I'll be back in a minute.
Oh, thanks, Cal, for sending me the notes this morning. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Bit of a crazy day today. So, and on that, the Bruce Timmerlin Award. I just don't know if Robin attached it, or is it in the chair's notes itself?
Your notes?
For the speech, the Timmerson speech.
Okay, I can send it to you. It's not in the notes. I think Timmerson, but they sent me a copy as well.
Oh, I got it. I'm just all over the map today. It's been I had to race through my last meeting I was chairing, so it's been a bit of a whirlwind today, but that's all good. Excellent. And from a agenda perspective, the Bruce Timmerson, we're going to lead that off at the beginning, I assume.
Yeah, we'll do the Timmermans Awards first before we get into the agenda.
Perfect. Thank you. I have like
Hi, Kelly.
4 screens on the go here. It's crazy town.
Well, 20 years ago, you would have had no screens.
Yeah, true. That's true.
And just as a reminder, we are live.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, you know what? I mean, and 20 years ago, you would have needed 2 hands to pick up your cell phone.
Good morning, Riley.
Good morning, Tim. I'm waiting for your. I'm willing to pay about $1,000 now for a haircut, just for the record. A legal haircut.
A new fundraiser.
That's right. It's funny. I was on the start of another call. I had FCM Ontario stuff just before this, and I had to let people know I haven't joined a cult. I'm not part of some different group or trying to get a new style. It was for a fundraiser like we all do. And I was shocked how many people were messaging me. I did that in my municipality too. So it's gotten great legs. Thanks for everyone's support. It's still building. And we even had a high school come on board today, Canterbury, where 10 teachers are going to shave their heads in a raffle style for every 5,000 increment it goes up. So we'll see what happens. It's
Excellent. What are you at now? What's the total now, Tim?
I think we're at 111,000, and I'm hearing there's going to be some big bucks coming in towards the end of the week. Some groups are amassing money, and they're going to donate, and it's all for a good cause. So
excellent.
Good lead up for it too. I see some red.
Tim, can you connect with me on that Canterbury thing, please? Let me know.
Sure.
I'd like to know what's going on.
Yeah, I'll rope you in. Good school for sure.
I was transiting into City Hall, and my timing is a little bit off, so I had you on my phone. I'm going to log in now.
Sounds good. You got a whole 45 seconds. Don't worry.
Okay. Go internet, go.
At City Hall? Yeah, good luck.
it's especially slow if you haven't been here for a couple of days. It's got to redo all the
Settings.
libraries or the protocols, whatever.
Jean, you're in Beat Bugs. My little Jacob's watching Beat Bugs, and it's all like little bugs in the grass. So
Yeah, I'm. It's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I guess I don't know where this background comes from. It's on my phone.
it's all Beatles songs. So it might actually. I love that little cartoon.
Okay, Cal, I think we have enough people on board, and I'm just going to start at the beginning before we get into the agenda. First of all, June is Let's Bike Month. It's a time to celebrate Ottawa's cycling community and encourage people to try cycling and have a fun and healthy transportation option. June is also a good time to honor those who help us achieve the goals by increasing cyclomodal share set out in the plan in 2013 in the TMP. As in years past, we recognize the efforts of those in Ottawa's cycling community through Bruce Timmerman's Award. This award was created by the City of Ottawa to recognize individuals and organizations that promote the benefits and virtues of cycling as a principal mode of transportation. The awards are named after Bruce Timmerman, who was a longtime cycling educator and advocate, an active member of the Ottawa Bike Club, and founding member of the Citizens for Safe Cycling. We recognize his outstanding contributions in the Ottawa cycling community through the awards by presenting here today. Also joining us this morning is Michael Timmerlin, a nephew of Bruce Timmerman. Thank you for joining us, Michael. And this morning we are presenting the individual one organizational award. Oh, forgive me, I just had something beep. I've invited the recipients to participate in today's meeting for us to acknowledge their hard work in the cycling community. Our first award winner is Jeff Tyndall. Jeff is an avid biker who commutes from Stittsville to Dow's Lake for work. He leads and promotes Let's Bike Stittsville, an organization that advocates for cycling rights and safety and benefits of cycling. Jeff takes time to promote his tips on bike maintenance, such as how to clean your bike chains, how to put on your own bike toolkit together, as well as promoting cycling routes in the Stittsville area. Thank you, Jeff, for your hard work and passion in the cycling community. This year, the Bruce Timmerman Organization Award goes to the Ottawa Bike Mountain Association, or the OMBA. Today, we are recognizing the OMBA members, Sandra Borlo, Mark Brule, Ann Griffith, Jessica Roberts, and Jim Winkle. And joining us from the OMBA, President Paul McLaughlin. In October 2019, the OMBA, in partnership with the City of Ottawa, opened the Carlington Bike Park located in Carlington Hill. The bike park, maintained by the OMBA, features mountain bikes, cycling tracks for everyone to enjoy. OMB also partners with Trips for Kids Ottawa to organize outdoor activities that help youth develop physical skills, gain knowledge and environment, and form positive relations with one another. Please help me congratulate both Jeff Tyndall and Ottawa Mountain Bike Association for their hard work and dedication to grow the Ottawa cycling communities. And before I finish up here, the winners will receive their certificates and awards in the coming days, but I'd ask Councillor Glenn Gower to say a couple of words.
Thank you, Chair. And I just wanted to say a big congratulations to Jeff. I am thrilled that a Stittsville resident is one of the recipients this year. I think it was 2 years ago that you started Let's Bike Stittsville. And I remember that first year you were helping residents in the community find a bike, learn how to tune up their bikes. You were bringing people over to your garage to help people get comfortable with cycling. And I know through your commute, you've shared the good, the bad, and sometimes the ugly on social media. And I've run into Jeff countless times on the trail in our local streets, and it's just great to see such an active advocate for cycling in our community, not just in Stittsville, but across Ottawa. And I can't think of anyone who'd be more deserving than you, Jeff. So congratulations, and hope to see you soon along the Trans-Canada Trail. Good job.
Great, thank you, Councillor. Jeff, would you like to say a couple words?
Yeah, thanks very much for the recognition. I'm quite humbled by it. I really didn't expect it. There's so many great people in Ottawa working really hard to promote active transportation and cycling. I don't know. I'm just at a loss for words. It's a great honor. So thank you very much. And if you can get on a bike, go out for a ride. It's a fantastic way to engage with your residents in your ward. And please promote and fund active cycling initiatives. Thanks.
Great, thank you for that. And I'm looking on my Hollywood Squares here. I see Sandra is on here. Did you want to say a couple words on behalf of the OMBA?
Sure. So first of all, a huge thank you on behalf of the Ottawa Mountain Bike Association. Our volunteers put thousands of hours every year into the Carleton Bike Park and other trails in the South March Highlands. So we really appreciate the recognition. We couldn't do it without the support of Parks and Recreation and also the local councillors. With the pandemic, we've seen such a huge increase in the number of cyclists in Ottawa, including mountain biking. So it just shows how much cycling is a keystone in everybody's health and well-being. So we just hope that we get future support from the City of Ottawa and other mountain bike projects and other bike parks throughout the city. So thanks again. We really appreciate it.
Great, thank you. And thank you for coming out. Congratulations again. Thank you, Michael, for joining us today as well. It means a lot, and the legacy lives on, the great work of your family. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and shift over to the less fun stuff, to the agenda. So at this point, I'm going to take a second and just give it a second for Kelly to make the necessary changes.
Would you like me to do roll call, Chair?
Just give me one quick sec, Cal. I'm just pulling up the new document. Great, perfect. If you can go ahead and do roll call. Thank you.
Councillor Luloff.
I am present.
Councillor Dudas.
Here, thank you.
Councillor El Shantiri.
Present.
Councillor Deans.
Here.
Councillor Fleury. Councillor Menard.
Morning.
Councillor Kitts.
I'm here.
Councillor DeRuse.
Here.
Councillor Hubley.
Here.
Vice Chair Leeper.
Good morning.
And Chair.
Great, present. So thank you for that. So we have no regrets. We have no declarations of interest, but confirmation of the minutes, 18 May 5th, 2021. Are those confirmed?
Okay.
Great, thank you. So I'll just quickly go through some items on the agenda. I do see parking services 2020 annual report. I assume, did somebody want to hold this item, or is this item carried? Okay,
We have a staff presentation for that one, Chair.
Perfect. Thank you. So we'll hold that item. On item number 2, status update, Transportation Committee inquiries and motions, period ending May 14th. Is that item carried?
Carried.
Great. Thank you. Item number 3, lots of work went into this one. Acquisition of part of 300 Wiggins Private from Ottawa Community Housing for installation of a all-way stop control. Is this item carried?
Carried.
Thank you. Item number 4, residential speed reduction for Zone 1, Wood Park, Zone 2, Carlingwood, Zone 3, Ambleside, Zone 4, Woodruff Northwest of Woodruff, Zone 5, Woodruff Northeast of Woodruff, Zone 6, Glaber Park, Zone 7, Queensview Terrace North. Is this item carried?
Carried.
Thank you. Residential speed reductions for Shoreborn Avenue. Is this item carried? Great.
Carried.
Thank you.
Carried.
Councillor Brockington's area, always stop control at the intersection of Owl and Pigeon, Southmore Drive West at Fielding, La Perriere, McBride, and Trent and Chevrier. There's no presentations, delegations, or correspondence. Is this item carried?
Carried.
Carried.
Item number 7, Featherston Drive and Briar Hill speed reduction, speed limit reduction. This is in Councillor Cloutier's ward. No presentations, delegations, or correspondence. Is this item carried?
Carried.
Good.
We have one in Councillor Gower's area, speed reduction for Fernbank Road. Again, no presentations, delegations, or correspondence. Is this item carried?
Carried.
And I'm almost at the end, I swear. Item number 9, Fallowfield Road speed reduction from 80 kilometers to 60 kilometers an hour between Larkin and Greenbank. No presentations, delegations, or correspondence. Is this item carried?
Yes.
Carried.
Great. We're really slowing down Ottawa today. All right. So moving back up, I'll pop up to item number 1. We do have a staff presentation. And at this point, I'll turn the floor over to our wonderful city staff.
Thank you for the time this morning, Chair. So we are tabling the 2020 annual report for parking services, which is an important part of our program and in implementing the municipal parking management strategy. Next slide, please, Kelly. So the annual report represents a key measure of transparency related to all aspects of the program. Parking Services has provided an annual report since 2020, following the original municipal parking management strategy. It identifies highlights and metrics from the year before, but now also includes a capital program plan, which will be a key focus of this presentation. Next slide, please. So in terms of highlights, this captures some of the key points. A lot of our focus last year was on the development of the public bike parking strategy, while we're also working through the pandemic situation from an operational perspective. In doing so, we were able to adapt and maintain our active communication with our various stakeholders, including through the Parking Stakeholder Consultation Group. Next slide, please. So in the annual report, we tracked 13 key performance indicators in alignment with our own performance measurement program. I will not walk through all 13, but I've isolated a few where there was a noteworthy trend. So first off, there was a bit of a reduction in our expenses in 2020, down to just over $13 million, which was largely due to a smaller transfer to roads to cover winter maintenance costs of on-street paid parking spaces. As expected, there was a significant reduction in revenues due to the pandemic, from just over 17 million in 2019 to just under $9 million in 2020. With the Parking Reserve Fund, we did receive some funds as part of the provincial Safe Restart transfer, which helped to offset the reduction and meant that we still had a Parking Reserve Fund contribution, although smaller than we have otherwise been used to. And then with bike parking spaces, the focus on development of the public bike parking strategy caused us to improve our inventory tracking, and we now have a clearer and more accurate idea of our actual inventory. So while no bike parking spaces were physically removed in 2020, the updated inventory clarifies that there has been some attrition through things such as road reconstructions, patios, and damaged racks. So this will help in identifying gaps for replacement and in creating a new benchmark to work from under the public bike parking strategy. Next slide, please. So the capital program plan is a new and important part of the annual report from a transparency standpoint. Every year we will review the capital program plan, reassess spending plans 5 years out and account for any changes. The forecasts that are just that though, and finalized budget requirements will continue to be presented to council as part of the annual budget process for approval. This capital program plan is an opportunity to provide some additional context as we move toward the 2022 budget. Next slide, please. So when approaching the capital program plan, there are various capital programs and requirements that we need to account for. What we have here is a list of those that recur annually. So with life cycle, these are the renewal requirements related to our 16-odd facilities. Parking facilities improvement relates to things like the parking guidance system at City Hall and other measures that involve improving accessibility or improving the customer experience. On-street facility modification was originally established to leverage opportunities to make adjustments to improve on-street parking or expand on-street parking, and has most recently been allocated to support the addition of EV charging. And funding for parking studies enables us to fulfill the requirements of the local area parking study program, which is a key component of the municipal parking management strategy. Next slide, please. So, and then there are other capital programs that are either new or they come up periodically. So first, we will be adding a program to account for bike parking and the new public bike parking strategy. And this will largely be about introducing secure bike parking at the outset and expanding our inventory. With new facilities, there are existing requirements to either increase or replace available public parking. One example of this is the Byward Market Public Realm Plan, which was before Council in January and included a parking replacement strategy and directions to staff to account for what is expected to be a significant loss of on-street and garage parking. There's also a defined requirement in Little Italy, where the most recent parking study and the corresponding report to Council indicated that staff will prioritize the search for opportunities to increase the parking supply within a section south of the Queensway. In both of these cases, so with Byward Market and Little Italy, this may involve construction of a new facility, but it's more likely and more practical on a go-forward basis for this to take the form of a partnership with a developer and a new development. So placeholders have been included in the capital program plan to ensure that we are positioned to follow through when the right opportunities arise. And then with the parking payment system, we will need to account for the fact that the precise ParkLink extension takes us to 2026, but there will be a requirement to purchase a new system at that point. Next, please. The Parking Reserve Fund was established in 2009, and the approach to managing it was modified in 2019 with the Municipal Parking Management Strategy refresh. So we now have a minimum and a maximum, which were set in 2019 at $8 million and $20 million respectively. One of the purposes of the capital program plan review annually is to assess the balance of these parameters. So there is intended to be flexibility to respond to changing conditions. As a result of this process and this capital program plan, staff are recommending that the full current balance of $22.5 million should be retained to accommodate spending plans and also to ensure that the balance does not drop below $8 million over the next 5 years. So I'm going to provide a little more detail on those spending plans in a couple of slides, but just first some additional context. And next slide, please, Kelly. So in terms of mapping things out, we need to account for both our projected spending requirements, which are being prioritized in alignment with the Municipal Park Management Strategy and Council direction. It's also necessary to account for potential impacts to revenues to ensure that we have a healthy reserve. From a cost perspective, there are life cycle requirements and follow-on actions to adopt things like our technology roadmap, parking replacement in support of businesses and tourism, and bike parking strategy outcomes. For revenue, there needs to be a cautious approach, given what we've experienced the last year, which has verified the importance of the minimum parking reserve fund balance. Next slide, please. So this is how the capital program plan lays out. Projections for the life cycle renewal have been arrived at through consultation internally with our infrastructure group. There is a higher amount allocated in 2022 due to some bigger ticket items, specifically at City Hall and the Dalhousie Garage. The early amounts for parking facilities improvement are based on expanding our parking guidance and sensor systems to the surface lots and expanding the program that we started with the parking guidance system at City Hall and our other garages. But this also involves expanding our investment in EV charging. Similarly, there are funds built into the middle years to do the same for EV charging on street. For bike parking, there are early investments in secure bike parking and bike corrals and an ongoing allocation from 2024 onwards to help fulfill the bike parking strategy. For new facilities, as indicated, we do have 2 placeholders built in, which will ensure that we are in a position to pursue the right opportunities as they may arise and to fulfill the requirements in both Little Italy and the Byward Market. And we expect the cost of any new parking payment system to be amortized over a few years, but it is something that we will start up and we need to account for starting in 2026. Next slide, please. When we account for our parking reserve fund starting point and then those projected costs as well as budgeted revenues, this helps to illustrate what is projected to happen to the parking reserve fund over the next 5 years. We approach and get very close to the minimum without dropping below. And this helps to reinforce the importance of retaining that full current parking reserve fund balance that we have currently. To help illustrate continuity past that 5-year horizon, some projections have been included to demonstrate that things are expected to stabilize and move in a more positive direction. And any additional revenue streams that may come on board will only put us in a better position. Next slide, please. So to wrap up, the capital program plan, staff are recommending that the current parking reserve fund balance be maintained to meet our anticipated parking program requirements and priorities, and to ensure we remain above that minimum threshold. And then just also included as part of the staff report, and I wanted to mention it here, that we will be recommending a change to the wording of one of our municipal parking management strategy objectives. When the strategy was tabled, the strategy update was tabled in 2019, we were asked to consider and consult on a change to the second objective. We did so through the parking stakeholder consultation group and have landed on some additional wording to account for the local community when considering short-term parking requirements that are otherwise in support of businesses, institutions, and tourism. And with that, I thank you again.
Great, thank you, Scott. We have questions from Councillor Fleury.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Scott. Thank you for the presentation. I have a few elements in the report that I'd love to just dive deeper on. So on page 4 of the report, there's a reference to Byward Garage and its future impacts. Could I ask that the text be amended, unless I'm wrong, that like you're talking about the city lots rather than the surface impact? So, or are you combining both? Like there was no reference to there is a potential shortfall to the removal of the central lot. Absolutely, but I think your team and Court's team are looking at partnerships to match or to establish a new structure. So I just was concerned with that, with what that paragraph said, because I think if you look at it literally, it's just a little unclear. So can you maybe clarify?
Sure, absolutely, and I'll have to call the report to look at the exact reference, but the intent with the Byward Park Public Ground Plan and the corresponding parking replacement strategy is to account for the fact that over the next 5 to 10 years and then beyond that, there will be a reduction of, I believe it's 550 parking spaces between the on-street public parking and the spaces that are available at 70 clearance within the city garage. And the intent is to look for opportunities to replace those spaces to the tune of about 70% replacement rate. And that is what we are currently turning our focus towards, ensuring that we, at the very least, pursue those opportunities and identify any that come up.
Okay. Is it possible to rework that wording? Because it didn't say that from my perspective, and I'm quite aware of it. So just in time, how that reads, I'd love to see a bit of an amendment to that. Scott, you and I have been, and I appreciate the presentation. You talked about, obviously there is a shortfall to revenues in 2020. It's pretty obvious, but can you maybe extract what that value is and how it was, I'm going to use the word balance, how is balance for the year? Because obviously everyone understands that the revenue of either pay and display or our parking lots is significantly dropped this last year.
Absolutely, Chair. The revenues in 2020 compared to previous years were about, when you look at the entirety of the year, we're about 50% what we are otherwise used to. So we did experience a significant revenue shortfall. We did see funding come from the province to help to offset those expenses, which helped to ensure that we were more on an even plane. We didn't have to dip into the parking reserve fund in order to offset those shortfalls.
And then you said 50%. Do you have an amount, just so I was trying to find them?
Yeah, so the amount was just over, compared to 2019 at least, the amount was just over $8 million, and the provincial transfer was in the amount of, I believe, $7.9 million. So.
Okay. Thank you for that. Really exciting stuff with the bike parking. Really exciting, tippy toeing in the EV world. Can you maybe share with us what's the EV vision? Because we saw Hydro Ottawa going into that world and that interest, and I wonder if that's the approach. And I'm not sure how it all ties in together, because I'm not super aware of how the infrastructure gets to, say, a charging station. But I would understand, my interpretation would be that as we redo main streets, that those are unique opportunities to ensure those are in place. Can maybe give us kind of where the policy is going and where the practice is going in that front?
Absolutely. So, Chair, I'll start just quickly with our off-street facilities, our garages, and our surface lots. So we currently have EV charging stations in place within 4 of our facilities. And we will, part of our capital program plan, we do have some funding set aside to consider where it's justified and where the demand supports it to expand that EV charging and expand our scope there. The new frontier, if you will, is with the on-street and introducing and providing EV charging on-street. And the city is in the process right now of finalizing an agreement with Envari. And there was a federal grant that was awarded last year, I believe. So that we're finalizing the locations and all the details, but we're looking at 13 on-street EV charging locations, 2 chargers per location, so 26 chargers to be start to be installed towards the end of this year. That's what's anticipated, at least. And then from that point forward, again, I believe it'll be a similar approach to to our facilities, is that as the demand justifies it, we'll be setting aside some funding to at least open ourselves up to the possibility to expand that on a go-forward basis.
Thanks, Scott. Mr. Chair, I have one final question, but on that front, would it be possible at the right time this year to get a report to committee or a presentation to committee on the Enviri/surface lot on-street pilot? I think that's a great way to just learn more about it. I'm excited about it, but I'd love to just learn more. So I wonder, Mr. Chair, if that would be possible.
Yeah, I'm looking at staff and workload, but I don't see an issue, at least by way of memo at a minimum, but a presentation certainly would be good. It is quite exciting. I'm just looking around the Hollywood squares here. I don't see anybody saying, no, don't do it. So Scott, maybe we can just take that as advisement.
Absolutely. We will work with planning and infrastructure economic development to follow through.
Great. Thank you for that.
Thank you. And my final question is on pay and display. So last year we were in a conversation with the agreement that we had with the operator. Obviously, challenging year, so hopefully it gets back on track. Can you maybe give us some insights and tools that we have? I know we've talked about this in the past, where high demand, high price, low demand, low price on surface. Do we have real-time ability to shift the funds? Because as COVID happened, right, and our businesses closed, then areas that had pay and display, unfortunately, continued to get some bylaw enforcement, which triggered kind of the pressure points. You and I have interacted with our BIs on that front for a number of months on this. So can you maybe give us some insights on the tools that we have within our powers to, say, reduce the pay and display price when demand is really low, such as when the pandemic happened?
Absolutely. So, Chair, we do have rate setting guidelines, which were approved as part of the Municipal Park Management Strategy 2019, and that does give us the mechanism to assess demand and adjust demand. We haven't had the opportunity to implement that because soon after that strategy refresh being passed, we found ourselves in the pandemic. So we are looking forward to moving forward with that, and the equipment does give us the opportunity to change rates. And intent is to conduct these reviews on a twice-a-year basis and make those rate adjustments kind of in alignment with what other cities are doing and best practices.
So we would have had the technology to shift it in real time within the policy. Is that, or do you need additional policy or committee decision on that?
Chair, we do have the ability, we do have the authority to adjust rates in alignment, like I said, with those rate setting guidelines and with the various criteria that have been set out. Below a certain threshold, we reduce; above a certain threshold, we increase. That is something that once we get to more typical circumstances and more typical demand patterns, that we will be looking forward to implementing.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great. Thank you for that. We'll move along to Councilor Menard.
Thanks very much, Chair. I had some questions around the EV piece as well, but I don't need to go into that. Councilor Fleury got into that. Thank you to staff for this report. Very, very helpful. And I just wanted to say a big thank you for some of the changes that you looked at in terms of the mandate and the bullets in there. So thank you, Scott, to you and your team for leading those conversations. I have one quick question just around the new hospital and the parking that's coming in there. And it's more so about your own analysis of sort of the effects of the area, where I think 3,300 parking spots going to be added into that hospital area, right, Carling and then Preston area. And so just be really interested to get your own analysis of it, how it may change the function of that area and our own kind of push for more alternative transportation options with that new civic hospital. Are you seeing any impacts there, just given the increase in parking and the potential offshoot in some of the surrounding neighborhoods?
Chair, this is certainly something that's on our radar. There's going to be a lot of change within that area for the hospital and then the redevelopment of a lot of the federal lands to the east. So it is, like I said, certainly on our radar. We are engaged with we have been engaged in different discussions with the hospital group, and it's a little early to see any tangible impacts of that development, but we have made ourselves available to provide our I guess knowledge and expertise into any analysis to help to both manage the parking but also mitigate the impacts.
That's great. I'd love to work with you, and I know that there's 4 surrounding councillors there, McKenney, Leeper, Brockington, and myself, that I'm sure would love to work with you directly and then the hospital and how we can encourage all types of modes of transportation there and anything we can do in terms of overlap with bike strategy or other parking issues related to your group. It'd be nice to sit down and just go through that together. So anyway, thank you again for this report. Really, really helpful, and appreciate all your team's work.
Great. Thank you for that. Councillor McKenney.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks for this, Scott. This is many years coming, and I've had more conversations with you about this than almost anything else on our plate on council for the last 5-6 years. I think when we think about parking revenue and we've expanded, and I think this is something that total kudos to staff, like kind of expanded the way we think about parking and what that means, and bringing people down to main streets to shop at local businesses. We also think about parking ourselves on benches and bike parking, and we've really thought on a wider scope what that means, and so I'm encouraged by where we're headed with this, and thank you for the report. I guess that the one question I have, and I'm never sure why it doesn't contribute to this type of investment, and maybe it does. So, we've got, say, Carling Avenue, where we're right now, the four of us who border on Carling are trying desperately to find a few $1,000s just to put a temporary bike lane that's meant to go there on Carling for safe cycling infrastructure. And I think we're looking for like $12,000 or something. Other things like widening sidewalks, during the pandemic, I can't afford to because I have, 7 main streets in my ward, and there's no way that I could possibly spend $7,000-8,000 on each one of them every year. That would be my entire office budget. So with the parking revenue and the parking reserve, we have an excess in that reserve. Could we not use that? Could that not be a reserve that we tap into? Perhaps it would mean, bringing a motion to council, but is that not a reserve that we could tap into for some of these uses that are for, safe pedestrian access and safe cycling temporary infrastructure?
So, Chair, unfortunately, we are constrained by the Municipal Act. Parking fee revenues as a user fee, the requirement is that they be spent on parking. I guess to simplify it. So our test when determining whether we can spend parking fee revenues is first it has to align with the municipal park management strategy, and there has to be a reasonable connection to parking. So we went through a fairly, I would say, an exhaustive effort with the parking management strategy refresh in 2019 to broaden that net as far as we could, right, and expand our funding for things like bike parking, right. Whereas we were just in paid areas before, now we've increased our ability to spend it in different areas, right, paid or otherwise. So we do have that limitation, which does exclude the spending of parking fee revenues on projects similar to the ones you're referencing.
No, and I appreciate the constraints that you're under. So perhaps it's finding a way to get changes to the municipal act so that, we're talking about building more parking structures and not using it for things that are more sustainable and safer and, get people around in different ways. So, okay, I appreciate that. I just thought I would ask out loud. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Chair.
Hey, great. Thanks, Catherine. And that's all the questions I see. I want to thank Scott. The fact that we only had a few questions shows how much work in advance you've done to really brief all of our council colleagues. So I want to thank you for that. So on that report, is that report received?
Received.
Received.
Thank you very much for that. We have no notices of motion, no inquiries, no other business. So the next meeting will take place August 4th, 2021. Get your red shirts on and enjoy the nice warm day today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chair.